What up? What up? Welcome in everybody to another episode of Profit Picks. If you are new, we always start this show by being transparent. And yesterday, I went 3-3 overall, so not a good day. And my best bet, which was my 5% play, was the loser on the 76ers. And in retrospect, got a little bit involved, a little bit too much involved too early. Um, I really did think Maxi and Embiid would play. And I didn't think Embiid was as hurt as he was. I thought it was just the usual ducking Jokic. So gotta just learn from that. And when you see these guys on the injury report, maybe just put a little bit of extra caution there. And instead of trying to predict, you can predict sometimes when you read good information. But unless we know for sure, can't make a play that big like that again. So bad day yesterday for myself. Hopefully you did better than I did, Veno.
Well, we had a small loss yesterday, Skee. It was all college basketball, though, 1-2. Had a winner with Michigan State, lay 12, one really big, 19 or better, I think it was. Had a tough one with Utah State over. Utah State, a team that's been phenomenal. By the way, those following college basketball that are watching this, Utah State just continues to mow through teams in the Mountain West Conference. But that one missed getting over by about 6 points. So, and there was one more I'm missing right now, but it was a 1-2 day overall. Dropped about 2.1 units, I think it was yesterday. But Monday was a really good day. Skee picked up over 8 units on Monday. So we'll take that trade-off any day of the week. And as far as the NBA and early plays go, like you were talking about, this league does make it hard on us. They do make it hard to try and gauge what's going to be on the floor at game time 24 hours prior, 18 hours prior, even 1 hour prior. It's tough to do.
Yeah, it is. And the shirt thing, they're still guessing. The first person who guessed was correct. It was Nathan. He went with black.
I love that right there. Can you create an SDQL for Veno's polo? You'll be putting that chart up. That's funny.
Yeah, shout out to Nathan though. He was the first person to get it correct today. Just looking through a couple more of these comments before I get started. The chat, though, I have to say, chat, it was a rough day for the chat yesterday, too. Like Oakley says here, yesterday was tough. Barely made it in the green. Yesterday was tough for the chat. This might be the worst day I've seen from the chat yesterday. 7-16 overall. So we don't get a lot of days like that, but we don't want to repeat it either. So give a shout out to some of the people who did have some winners. Sharon and Ronell both had the under in the Knicks game. JT won with Boston first half. So did Boofer. And then Hank had a really good one. He had Capella over 9.5 rebounds. And last but not least, Jim Turner won with the Laker game over, and that one did cash. So were some good ones. But overall, as a group, we all have to do a little bit better here today. And we have a lot of games to choose from. So I will glance a little bit at a couple more comments, and I like this one. Give me some confidence here. 7-16, better than the Pistons. Give the chat some confidence too.
Oh man,
everybody's better than the Pistons here today. So on that note, we'll go over to the first game, which is 565, 566. The Pistons. And then the Cleveland and take on the Cavaliers. Opened up Cavs minus 12.5. Not really seeing much movement there. Total open 228.5, and it's looking like 231. As far as the injury report is concerned, I see Cade game time. Stewart will be out. Jared Allen game time here today. Garland game time. Both Ty Jerome and Tristan Thompson are going to be out. And should have already had this. There we go. I was looking at this one, and the more I thought about it here, Rob, for one, this is one of those games on that Kevin Johnson system where it's like those non-conference games that, the favor is probably not going to care too much about. And I think I agree with this one. You have Detroit with the rest advantage, 2 days compared to one. Cleveland on the front end of a back-to-back. I mean, both teams have been playing well lately. Both teams 7-1 ATS their last 8 games. The difference is one team is catching 12 and a half points. And also, if Garland, he's game time decision. If he's out there on the court today trying to integrate a high usage player back into the lineup like that, I just always think that's kind of a fade situation. So I really was trying to get here with the Pistons. I also think the under is in play. Um, both teams playing solid defense. Cavs are actually the number one defensive rated team last 5 games. And you have the Pistons have gone under 4 of their last 5 games. Cleveland under 6 of their last 8. It's gone under the last 6 meetings. I think either Pistons or the under in this matchup. How do you feel about it, Mr. Veno?
Um, I think that all things being equal, Skee, like you said, they're both red hot right now. So you would look to take points first. Detroit 7-1 against the spread last 8 games. A couple of things to note here about cohesion with the Cavs. Evan Mobley came back Monday, first game back, 10 points, 9 rebounds, 21 minutes. He said, I didn't feel too rusty, got into the flow of the game as I kept playing, just felt better out there, felt more comfortable. And the head coach kind of agrees that he credited the team for being so cohesive, integrating a guy back into the lineup. I hadn't played since December. Now comes the second time tonight, as you mentioned, with Garland, because I think I read this morning that he participated in shoot around and intends on playing. There's probably a minute's restriction with that, but now you're integrating 2 guys back into the starting lineup. Could be a little more difficult for the Pistons. And to that comment earlier that everybody's got it better than the Pistons, or 7-16 better than the Pistons. How about this from Monty Williams? Little change of heart here, Skee, over the course of the last 6 weeks. After the last game, he said, I just think our guys care. I called a timeout. I said, I'm okay with them making shots, but we got to compete the way we compete to give ourselves a chance. There was every reason in the world for us to come up with an excuse, and it would have been valid. We just competed our tails off. Monty Williams now telling us that the team cares. Last time I talked about this with you, it was Cade Cunningham running around the locker room telling everybody that it's going to be okay. But this is the head coach who, at 6-40, tough situation, but thinks that they're sticking with it. So I could see a team even at 6-40, but 7-1 against the spread right now in the last 8 that's actually caring about games and competing hard. I could see them staying within this big number. Tougher to lay it than take it. So if I had to, I would probably take it here.
I really want to get there. Maybe I can't get there with the Pistons. I definitely think they're the right side in this game. How do you agree with the market pushing this total up?
That's interesting, Skee. I looked at it, and you know me, I'd like to play over, but I scratched it. I don't have my reason written down here for scratching that total off. But maybe it had to do with Garland coming back and thinking that maybe they wouldn't be as and I think that the defense of the Cavaliers, when they have the 2 trees together, was another reason that I didn't go there with the over. Jared Allen, 15 straight double-doubles. And on the other side, Jalen Duren, a guy that I know you talked about last year, we talked about this year. Jalen Duren, I think 22 points and 21 rebounds in his last game. There's a lot of good interior play right now on both sides. So and just thinking off the top of my head, I think that might be a couple of reasons that scared me off the total.
And I want to say this one went up to 232 and then came back down to 231. Oh, yeah, it did, because I have it here on the screen. So, but I think this one is more of an under game. So I'll think about it a little bit more and probably get to the window with both. Next game up, we have 567, 568 Clippers and Wizards opened up. Clippers minus 12.5. They're now 11 or 11.5 point favorite. Total opened up 239, down as low as 235.5. For the injury report, Paul George was downgraded to questionable. Zubac remains out. Landry Shamet out. Isaiah Livers out for Washington. I've been really good picking this Washington team here, and I always triple check now because I don't want to mess up my my Wizards record, my Wizards whisper record that you guys give me. But Clippers have been playing good basketball. Obviously, I think it's a minus without Paul George, and I'm just not sure how much they care about this game. They are off of a loss, so So maybe they do care. But another one of those games in that Kevin Johnson system, just the non-conference games, the big dogs that they tend to overlook. And the Wizards lately, they've been playing defense, top 10 defensive rated team. So I think that they can keep it respectable. If they can play good defense like they have been, I think they can keep it within double digits. I would only be playing the Wizards here. How do you feel about this game?
Hey, Skee, I'm going to categorize this the same way we just categorized the game before us, the one that we just did, the Detroit-Cleveland game. And one more thing, I was staring at some notes while you were talking. One more thing that kept me off that total was that Cleveland's on the front end of a back-to-back. They travel tomorrow to Memphis. In this game, boy, I found a lot of good stuff this morning going over notes before this show. But I want you to listen to Kyle Kuzma, where Washington's concerned. I don't know if we should listen to Kyle Kuzma, but we're going to listen to Kyle Kuzma for a minute here. And I don't know if this is throwing Wes Unseld Jr. under the bus or if this is just crediting the new interim coach. But here's what he had to say. They're now 2-1, by the way, under Brian Keefe. A lot of times when you didn't play in the NBA, your attention to detail has to be insane. It immediately brought to mind, after reading that first sentence, Eric Spoelstra, who was a film guy and didn't really play in the NBA and had to be so detail-oriented. Your attention to detail has to be insane. That's Keefe. He's insane, Kuzma said. All the little things matter, and it's rubbing off on us. I think you see the loose balls we got to tonight, the rebounding, the spacing, the execution of what we're trying to do. That's attention to detail. I've never really known Kyle Kuzma to be a guy to be that insightful or pay that much attention to what's going on. But you have to believe, Skee, that just like Detroit, where Monty Williams says his guys care, that Washington cares right now. And as you mentioned, it's another team that's way sub 500, that's playing real well as of late. And it's not like they don't have some talent on the floor either. So I would think, yes, the Clippers probably want to bounce back from that loss, but how much do they care about winning by more than 11 in this game? I'm just not sure that this isn't, a 5-point Washington win or whatever. So I would definitely look Washington. I think the money sees it the same way. We've seen 12.5 come down to 11 right now. But those first two underdogs, Detroit and Washington, to me, I'd lump them in the same category. They seem like teams with bad records that are still sticking with it.
Yeah, and the Wizards, off of an outright win, I think they can maybe parlay that good play into another good performance. So I think the Wizards can keep that going here. Keep that going. And Wizards, like I said, they've been very good for us against the spread. I'm not sure if Dubs is talking about me or you here, Rob. Says, how you sub 500 but playing great? Just because you don't have a winning record doesn't mean there's stretches where you're not, stepping it up. Or for example,
we count point spread records. We don't count regular records.
Exactly. Pistons have covered 7 of 8. Wizards, we just cashed with them as our last best bet, and we've cashed with them the last few times we've been betting them. That's why they're playing great to us, or to me. Rynell says the total lean under. I don't have a strong opinion. Wizards have gone under 5 straight, but I'll just leave that alone. Let's keep going. We do have a lot of games today. 569, 570. Chicago and Charlotte opened up. Bulls minus 2.5. They're now minus 5. Total open 218 and down as low as 215.5. Injury report. Zach LaVine out, Terry out, Williams out. Torrey Craig is game time decision for the Hornets, but Torrey Craig is doubtful. For the Hornets, you have Miles Bridges probable. You have LaMelo questionable. Let me click here again because I swear I saw a little bit more. Yeah, they say he's doubtful to play here tonight. And then they'll be without Gordon Hayward, Kyle Lowry, and Mark Williams. So for this game, Rob, I want absolutely no part of backing the Hornets, and I don't really want the Bulls on a back-to-back either. So I look at the total, and I agree with the way the market is pushing this one down. You have a Hornets team who they've already shown you pretty much that they gave up on this season. For one, they got rid of some scoring too with Rozier, and seeing that LaMelo is doubtful, that means that the pace is going to go down, and the offense is not going to look as crisp. Without LaMelo, since he's been a Hornet, the under is 61.1% on about 98 games, 95 games, somewhere around that range. And the under is 14-9 so far this season without LaMelo. You look on the other side, Bulls have gone under 5 of their last 7 games. And I did have a system on this one. It will sound familiar to you guys who watch the show consistently, but one of those ones that's kind of hard to explain. But the best way to sum it up is the amount of points that the Bulls average on the road and the amount of points that the Hornets, you know, allow on average at home is much more than this total that we're looking at today. And so it's pretty much telling us that the total is low for a reason. And I agree. 6 of the last 7 meetings between these teams have gone under. The only one that didn't, I believe, was an overtime game. So I think under 215.5 is still live, still a good play. How do you feel about it, Veno?
Well, I stepped in, Skee, and shortened up this total, but I did play Bulls team total over 110.5. I don't know what we're going to get out of the Hornets, but I thought that the Bulls were a pretty good play here. Charlotte, for what it's worth, defensively, they have, they keep saying the right things, but absolutely given up on the season. Like you say, they've allowed 113 or more in 10 of their last 12 games. And Bulls team total here is only 110.5. I got to get to 111. The Bulls, for what it's worth, they've shot better than 50% in 6 of the last 9. They're 7-4 over this team total last 11 games. They're 3-1 over in this particular back-to-back situation, which is home to road. Again, and the Bulls now, if we go through, it's the only team that's on the second of a back-to-back tonight, right? We got a lot of games, but only one team is playing the second in 2 nights, and that's the Bulls. Last night, DeRozan played a lot of minutes, over 40, and they're a little bit depth shy, so he can't go deep into his bench. The starters really have to play here, which is another reason why I like the team total over against this defense. Steve Clifford, real quick here. We have no easy solutions. I don't think it's just one thing. We don't have a lot of depth. It's hard to put 48 minutes together. We sub differently every game. Those are not helpful things. We don't get into a rhythm. We don't get into a comfort level with who we're playing with. And that just doesn't breed confidence in Charlotte whatsoever, offensively or defensively. I could see the Bulls winning this game in the vicinity of, 112.99, 112.100, something like that. I wouldn't talk anybody off the game total, but I do think the Bulls are going over this 110.5. They've shot it well as of late. Like I say, 6 of 9, better than 50%. And Charlotte just gives up 113 or better consistently. So we're gonna roll with that over 110.5 team total Bulls.
All right. By chance, did you watch the Bulls game yesterday, Rob?
I only a piece of it, Skee. I did not see it start to finish.
What do you think about this comment? Casey says Bulls didn't score the last 7 minutes of that game yesterday. She says it makes a lot of sense. I think she's saying to take the under here.
And to KC, I'm going to, you know what? I had the Bulls team total one night against Philly where they were right there with 8 minutes left and they couldn't throw it in the ocean the last 7.5 minutes against Philadelphia. I remember getting to Twitter with that. I was so upset that night that they didn't get there. They have done that more than once. If you have a concern, it could be late game. Against this defense, would it be a concern? Probably not, because Charlotte doesn't stop anybody. But yeah, it's something to watch for with the Bulls, just like Pelicans melting down in the last 5 minutes is something we keep seeing every night.
All right, let's keep moving right along here. Next game up, we have 571-572. Sacramento Kings heading into Miami. Opened up Heat -1.5. Still 1.5. Total opened up 230. And looks like 230.5 right now. Injury report. Sasha Vesenkov is game time decision for the Kings. And Duncan Robinson looks like he's out for these Miami Heat. So these are two teams. I mean, this might be the one game I just want nothing to do with here, Rob. Two teams. Kings have been on my hell no list. I'm not backing them. I don't care. Last 5 game stats do all favor them: offensive rating, defensive rating, rebound percentage. They're 7-2 as a road dog. They are a short road dog today. They have to win. Miami, they haven't covered their last 7 games. Uh, I've been burned by the Kings too much to even try to have any kind of belief or faith in them. So I will pass here, Rob. How do you feel about Kings and Heat?
Well, I didn't play Skee. I had to, I'm a big believer in doing what Jimmy Butler says when he decides to open his mouth. He did decide to give a quote here, but it wasn't as definitive as I would like. Here, Eric Spoelstra, first of all, because the Heat are on such a bad. I think this is the worst losing streak he's ever been part of as the head coach of this team. And he said extra determination is going to be needed to correct what's plagued our team. You have to go through the fires together. I want to see toughness, physicality, force, multiple efforts. Move on to Jimmy Butler, who kept it real simple. We're not guarding people. They haven't guarded people. It seems like since the Rozier trade, and I know they want to incorporate offense, Skee, but it looks like it might have swayed too far that way. I don't know that they can guard this team, Sacramento, just by snapping their fingers and saying it's a problem. Sacramento's on a 7-game road trip. They've won the first 3, shot better than 50% in all 3. And so for them, 7-game East Coast road swing, we've already got 3. Let's keep rolling here. They've got Indiana, Chicago, and Cleveland on deck after this. I think they're confident. But I don't want to go against the head coach and Jimmy Butler when they say they want to see more defense, more physicality. Maybe we see it tonight, and that's the big question for me. I can't. It's too much guesswork for me to figure out if they're really going to put their nose to the grind. I think we know what Miami can do when they do it. Total's going. I'm seeing it go down a little bit here as we speak to 228.5 in one spot for one reason, but I got nothing to do with it, Skee. Again, like you, hard to trust the Kings. Impossible to trust the Heat right now, though, on this 7-game losing streak.
And the chat having some fun, some fun poking fun at you here, Rob.
What I say now? I said something.
I'm gonna leave it alone, man. I'm gonna leave it alone. We'll let it go for now. But if you see me laughing hysterically while you're talking, it's not me just laughing at you. It's because the chat is making me laugh here. But next game, 573-574, New Orleans and Houston opened up Pelicans -3. They're now -2. Total opened up 228.5, and it looks like 232. Injury report: Herb Jones, game time decision, and looks like Malcolm Hill, game time decision as well. For the Rockets, Eason and Oladipo remain out. It's like, I mean, at least we have them back to back just to get them out the way. But a lot of these, I mean, this game I don't really want a whole lot to do with. If I have to play it, I would look a little bit more towards Houston. I think if you like the Pelicans, you get in and get out. You know, they've been first half Warriors. Like you said, they fall apart at the end of the games. The Rockets, though, they've covered 4 of their last 5. Last 5 game stats have them as a top 10 defensive rated team, top 5 rebounding team, and better offensive team than these Pelicans. So I'll trust that. I know that they're a lot better this season at home than on the road. And I do have them as 9-4 as a home dog. I could only look towards the Rockets. Actually, I might try to find more reasons to go ahead and jump in here on these Rockets. The market is moving towards that direction. Can you talk me off of looking the Rockets' way, Rob?
And if you had a concern, it would be New Orleans entering off back-to-back. In fact, 3 straight losses, right? OKC, Milwaukee, and Boston. They don't seem to have the answer, though. I read a few quotes from Willie Green and assorted players where they know the problem. They can't close games. They just don't really seem to know how to fix it. One of those things where you get a lot of coach and players speak on, we've got to work through it. I'm going to say this, though, Skee. For those who play a lot of props, and I don't, I'm sure you're catching on to this, but this Jalen Green deal where he's posting these double-doubles because Ime Udoka and the Rockets wanted him to rebound better from the guard position. All of a sudden, he's posted 3 straight double-doubles. I think he had 12 rebounds the other night. And according to what the coach is saying, they like him to rebound because it speeds them up in transition. And he thinks they're going a little faster right now, and he likes that, which is kind of different than the way Houston started the season, Skee. I couldn't play under here simply because Houston's gone over this 231.5 number, 8 of the last 12, 15 of the last 24, and they've given up a 116 or better in 9 of their last 14. We know the Pelicans can score. The first half stuff you already said, I won't repeat it. But if you like the Pelicans, it probably is best to get in and get out until they figure out a way to close games. But I think right now it'd be interesting to watch the Rockets for you guys playing props, especially looking at Jalen Green and his double-double. I don't know what his price is to have a double-double on a nightly basis, but I think that you're going to see a higher percentage of times when he does that rather than doesn't, because it's a focus at this point in time of the Rockets to get him on the boards and to get out in transition. So those couple of things I'll leave you with. I tried to look for a way to play Houston team total over 115. Might still be able to do that, but I haven't gotten there yet.
Yeah, I'm like in Houston. I think I'm thinking today's a dog day, Rob. I know
we get on that show later.
Yeah.
That's my dog.
Yeah, I'm gonna have a lot to choose from on that show for sure. So we'll keep moving on that note. Next one up, we have 575, 576. Orlando Magic heading into San Antonio opened up Magic -5. They're still 5.5-point favorite. Total opened up 229, down as low as 226.5. Injury report, I see Gary Harris out. Zach Collins and Keldon Johnson both game time decision here. And you have a Magic team that's covered 3 out of 4 games as a road favorite. A Magic team who usually steps up and shows that they're not in that same bracket as the less thans, 10-2 versus less than 45% win teams. Spurs, though, they have been playing really good basketball. They're 11-4 against the spread their last 15 games. If I look at last 5 game stats specifically, you do have the better defense in Orlando. They are the slightly better offensive team. But can I trust them to lay the points here? I know it's not the hugest margin, but when I expect teams to win by anything, I like them to be able to shoot the 3 well and defend the 3 well. But again, Orlando's been that team that I haven't been taken advantage of this season because they win in other ways. So maybe I just need to stop. I just need to open my eyes and see that what Orlando style is working for them. I think Orlando is the correct side in this game. Do you agree here, Rob?
Yeah, I bet it. I bet it because when I look at Orlando, the first thing I always look at is, do they have a front court advantage over the other team? Because their strength is their front court and they're healthy again. And they do. They're a bigger unit here. They're a more physical front line than the San Antonio Spurs with just Victor Wembanyama. Other than that, they're smallish. And if Zach Collins doesn't go, they're even smaller. And Pop has a way of, intermittently resting 2 guys. 1 guy, 2 guys on this team. So I don't know which one will rest tonight, but he's just the king of doing that. Orlando, close call the other night, 131-129 loss to Dallas. Dallas gets him in the end because Luka had another big night. But I like their front court advantage here. Way too much to pass it up, Skee, at this price. I think they'll be good on the boards. I think they'll get a lot of second chance points against this team. San Antonio doesn't play a lot of defense. 3 of the last 4 games, they've been hit pretty hard, 53.5%, 56.3%, 57%, all from the field. That's OKC, Minnesota, and Washington. So I like the Magic here. Second game of, let me count it out here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5-game trip. Lost the first one in heartbreaking fashion. I think they bounce back here. Like I say, it's one of the first things I bet. I like Orlando minus the points.
All right, we're in agreement as far as thinking the same direction here. Is there any reason to take maybe the first half? I remember earlier in the year they were a pretty good first half team, but what do you think about first half versus full game?
First half, let's look at them on the road real quick. 14-11 first half on the road. Not bad, not great, but better than the Spurs as a home team first half. Where are they? 13 and 10. It's about equal. So not much advantage there as far as the way they played all season long. But you know me, I like the player matchups on the floor, and I just think that the matchups here, especially front line interior, go to Orlando. And obviously Wembanyama's a great talent, but the rest of that front line just not big enough for me.
Fair enough. Only will look towards the Magic. So let's keep going down the list. We have 577, 578, Dallas and Minnesota. Sorry, opened up Wolves minus 13 and a half, sitting at minus 13 now. Total opened up 224 and a half. Looks like 221. Injury report for the Wolves. I see Conley game time decision. Clark out. For the Mavericks, they'll be without Luka, Kyrie, Lively, and then it looks like Derek Jones and Dante Exum are both game time decision here tonight. Both of them are doubtful, by the way. So don't really want a whole lot to do with this Dallas team. You know, I was trying to get involved with this one, trying to talk myself into this one. The best thing that I was coming up with was Dallas team total under. And I think it was like 103 and a half. I mean, they are missing a hell of a lot of offense. Minnesota, ever since that Hornets game, you know, they were talking about they need to stay focused and need to get back to playing defense. They have been doing that. I think they've held 3 of their last 4 opponents under their team total. And they do play at a slower pace right now. So I was thinking team total under, but it just seems like, I don't know. I just get a weird feeling about this game. So just a lean for me as of this moment. Dallas team total under. How do you feel about this game, Rob?
It's funny because I looked at the other side of it, and what you're saying makes total sense. I looked at the other side from Minnesota's perspective. I like team total over 117 with the Wolves. What's funny about these team totals, Skee, is as the game total comes down, because Dallas has all the guys out, they basically just take in progression a half a point off of each team's team total, 1 point off. Minnesota's team total has come down from 119 to 117 because of Dallas injuries and the game total coming down, which makes no sense, right? Dallas has given up over 117 points, 10 straight games. Can't stop anybody. The concern you have is if Minnesota gets up by 30, late third, do they pull everybody and not, play out the rest of the game with their reserves? Their reserves are probably strong enough to get you home. So in that case, maybe you want to look first half, which I think the first half total for Minnesota team total was 60 and a half. But I do think 117 is just way too low. And I think it's a spot you can take advantage of simply because you see this in team totals all the time. If the game total comes down, they don't, they've taken 1.5 points off of Dallas's number and 2 full points off of Minnesota's number because of Dallas injuries. To me, it makes no sense. So I'll play Minnesota team total over 117.
And I could absolutely see, fading that Dallas defense. Second worst defensive rated team last 5 games. And I'm not mad at that play at all. So let's keep going down the list. We have 579, 580. Oklahoma City Thunder, Denver Nuggets opened up Thunder -1, -1.5 right now. Total open 229. Looks like 228.5 currently. Injury report. Let me just hit refresh again. Jokic game time, but very likely to play. Strother out for OKC. SGA, Lou Dort, Chet, all game time decision. Isaiah Joe and Jalen Williams look like they're going to be out for this matchup. So for me, this is a game I feel like is pretty important to both teams, sitting at number 2 and number 3 in the West, separated by half of a game. Winner moves up, or winner has that second spot, is what I'll say. Looking at how both of these teams have been playing lately, well, before I even look at lately, because of that situation, I feel like this is played more like a playoff game. And if I feel like it's going to be playoff intensity, that means more defense. And both teams' defenses have been better than the offensive lately. Last 5 games, 12th for Denver, top 5 for OKC. Both teams bottom 10 offensive rated teams in that same span, and bottom 10 in pace as well. Denver has gone under 6 in a row. OKC has gone under 5 of their last 6. It's gone under 4 of the last 5 meetings. I think this is another low scoring game between these two. So under 228.5 is the best number you can get right now. I got 228 in my pocket. How do you feel about it, Rob?
Yeah, I wanted to look Denver Skee, and you know what? I wasn't totally. I was reading rather than listening when you read the injury report. Is Jokic questionable, or is he probable, or
Very likely to play.
yeah? I like Denver. I mean, the last time these two teams played, OKC beats them by 26 points. And the time before that, OKC beat them too. So you got back-to-back losses against this team from Denver. You got to right that situation. The season series is 2-1 Oklahoma City. I'm sure Denver wants to even that thing up right now. I think they're the better team overall. And there's a couple of things I read this morning about Chet Holmgren kind of hitting the wall at 42, 43 games here. A little bit fatigued, a little bit tired, talking about how he has to grind through this. And I think SGA had something to say about how difficult it is to learn how to get through an entire NBA season. Man, I don't know that I want Chet Holmgren against Jokic to begin with if Jokic is determined and ready to play, let alone if he's feeling the wear and tear of the NBA season. So I think plus 1.5. I'd look Denver. I haven't played it yet, but I think I could talk myself into Denver winning that game. I think at plus 1.5, you're likely looking at a money line play rather than taking 1.5 points. So whatever money line is there, I'll try and see if I can get you guys a current right now. Denver plus 5 cents looks like to be the best you can get, but I would rather do that than take the 1.5.
I feel you on that. And the chat, first of all, NLMB. I've seen you in here quite a bit, but he's making fun of our guy Kevin Johnson for bringing up a trend that goes back to 2001. That is actually a good thing that it goes back that far. When you're looking at league-wide stats, that tells you that whatever situation you're looking at, it's been either bad for a reason or good for a reason. And the situation that he's referring to is actually the reason why I even looked at this game in the first place, because it's very similar. And I want to say, Kevin can tell me if I'm right. I want to say Kevin took what I was talking about and just played with it a little bit here, because I talk about this all the time. Two elite teams. And when I say elite teams, I mean 60+ win percentage teams. And they're playing, usually I say when they're playing with a high total, we bet the under for all the reasons that I mentioned in my breakdown. But he's saying two elite teams, division teams playing their fourth and final matchup of the regular season. They're 69% to the under. And why else does that make sense? Because the more you play the team throughout the season, the more familiar you are with their game and what they're going to do. So it makes sense that on that fourth time, there would be more unders. And he adds some more, says if they're both not on the second night of a back-to-back, previous matchup went under, gets even better. So good stuff by Kevin Johnson there. I appreciate you sharing that. And I already bet it, and I like it. You make me like it even more. Any last thoughts on this one before we move on, Rob?
No, I think we got pretty good opinions on that game. And I will reiterate what you just said, because I'm not the biggest technical trend player in the world, right? I don't believe in all of them, but where that one is concerned, and we're in the certain spot that we're in tonight, fourth meeting between two teams, especially same division, 1 and 2 season series, it just takes on that playoff intensity, which leads you to under just off of that. So despite the fact that goes back to 2001 and a lot of coaching staffs, a lot of players, a lot of everything has changed, I think just the situation makes that trend valid. And I can honestly see why somebody would play that trend here tonight.
Absolutely. And I want to say another thing here, because I see people in the chat. Number one, catch you slipping. We had a talk yesterday, and I see you getting it too with people in the chat. These people have been around for a long time, and they win consistently. Just because they share a trend, for one, doesn't mean they're betting it. They're just sharing information. And number two, they've been proving that they've been winning using this information. And the second thing I want to say is, or the next thing I want to say is to Sour Diesel. He says, when I wake up in the morning and I take a shit before I roll a blanket over 51-3. We're not using things that don't make sense. We're using very simple trends for the most part, the ones that I get to the window with, are very simple trends, and we make sure they make sense. That is how we've been making money. That is a part of the way we've been making money, not the only way, but it's part of the way we've been making money. And I use a lot of these trends on my big streak last year. A lot of these trends on my big streak last year. So um, don't be naive. All right, next game up. We will go. 581, 582. Phoenix and Brooklyn. This game opened up Suns minus 3.5. They're now a 3-point favorite. Total opened up 231.5. And we're looking at 233. Injury report. We see Phoenix has Grayson Allen game time decision, Bol game time. Damian Lee is going to be out. For Brooklyn, Ben Simmons game time decision. They'll be without Dorian Finney-Smith and Sharp as well. This one is, I felt a little bit of different ways. My first thought when I looked at this game was, I'm still not sold on Brooklyn. Like, they were playing bad for so long. Do I think they just snap out of it now? It's kind of what I was thinking. They've covered 4 out of their last 17 games. For Phoenix, they were on a big streak and they fell off. And I just, I don't like laying with teams that are not the better defensive, that not the team playing the better defense lately. If I can't trust you to begin, stops, I don't want to lay, even if it's a short number. I mean, obviously it means more when it's a big number. But Brooklyn, a top 5 defensive rated team last 5 games, if they can, keep that up at the house, I think they can stay in this game. So that's why I said I've been conflicted. My last thought was to lean Brooklyn. How do you feel about it, Veno?
I want you to help me here with the top 5. Can you give me where Brooklyn stands top 5 pace or in pace last 5 games?
Both teams 17th.
Both teams tied in pace. Phoenix shoots the ball so much better. I mean, on this road trip, 60%, 58%, 57%. So if you're going to have limited possessions and one team shoots it way better than the other, that may negate one team being a better defensive team than the other. It may also lead you to under if you're going to have limited possessions, even though this number has gone up from 231.5 to 233. To me, that probably, I can make a case that it makes some sense because Phoenix has been so good offensively since the big 3 have gotten together. But then you could say it makes no sense because Brooklyn's playing somewhat slowish and they're playing really good defense. So too much contradiction here for me, Skee, to play it either way. I don't even think I could find an angle where team total is concerned that I would be comfortable with. I don't know. Can you guess which team is going to be quickest out of the gate and play first half, first quarter? Phoenix has the better starting lineup, but I'm not sure. Maybe that's the way that I could possibly look at it. Phoenix first quarter, but this is the 5th straight road game in a 7-game trip for Phoenix. They're 2-2 right now. They want to come home with a winning mark on this East Coast swing, and they've had a day of rest here in this game. So it's too much contradiction in that game for me to get involved.
There was a comment here that I agree with. And let's see, it was pretty much just said, feels like the books are begging me to take the Suns here. Do you agree with that at this number?
Well, again, we have to get into the theory that books beg you to do something. I don't know that the books beg, but if you're saying that with your eyes, this line just seems too short, I could agree with that. I mean, to the person who's been watching NBA, you think, well, why are they only 3? They should be more. The Nets have stunk, and Phoenix is playing better. I can agree with that, but I don't know if I don't know that books do that. Beat you with. I think the better thing to observe here, Skee, is the fact that the money. And again, the overnight money and the early morning money is real money. It's not $25, $50 bettors. It's syndicate money. And they decided not to take Phoenix. Bookmakers threw a number out there, 3.5. And the big money said, you know what? We still want Brooklyn. So that would be a little scarier to me than books begging me to take, the other side of the game.
All right, let's keep going to the last game on the slate for today. And that is 583, 584. Milwaukee and Portland. Opened up Bucks -10. They're still 10.5 point favorites. Total opened up 236.5. It looks like 237. Nobody on the injury report right now for the Bucks. And for the Blazers, I see Moses Brown out, Shaden Sharp out. How I was feeling about this one is Bucks started to play better basketball as soon as their coach was fired, like all teams do. And then they did lose in Doc Rivers' first game coaching there. I think it was Teddy who read a quote earlier, and it pretty much was saying that it's going to take some time for Doc Rivers to get used to how they've been playing in Milwaukee. I think it was by Chris Middleton as well. So just on that note, it is a big night. Dame Lillard going back to play his old team in Portland. Um, I can't lay with this Bucks team. Last 5 games, I say they're a top 10 defensive rated team, but I still just don't trust them defensively. I just don't. They've covered 3 of their last 15 games. Portland, I feel like a lot of the season they were unhealthy, similar to the Utah Jazz. And now they're a lot healthier. And now they're starting to cover point spreads. They even are off of an outright win. So Portland covered 6 of their last 9 off of a win as a dog. Another one of those games where, like Kevin Johnson shared, non-conference game the Bucks. Usually they might not care a whole lot about. They probably will care because it's Lillard's night tonight. So I'm not sure. Blazers have been playing good defense, top 10 defensive rated team last 5 games. They've been the better rebounding team. They're at the house. I want to think that the Blazers can keep it respectable here within 10 points. Can you talk me off, Rob?
I can't because I don't have that strong of an opinion on Milwaukee overall. I do think that their offense probably gets back in gear here, Skee. 2 of their last 3 have been against really good defensive teams when they put the clamps down. That's Cleveland and Denver. And both of those teams are somewhat methodical in pace. Portland can't really put clamps down against this particular team. I wouldn't think. There's no matchup for Giannis if he really wants it. There's not many matchups for him, if any, in the league to begin with. You mentioned Damian Lillard coming back home. The one thing I go back to, and I agree with what you were saying when Teddy was reading quotes. I just wonder, and I guess I'm allowed to call him Doc now, so I will call him Doc. I wonder what Doc Rivers' philosophy really is going to be with this group when he assesses all of his talent. Is he going to take away from their offense to try and get more defense out of them, in which case they become a little lower scoring? Or is he going to let the offense go and try and fix defense on the fly with the offense still scoring? Hard to tell because their last 4 games, Skee, 126 all the way down to 100, 141, and then 107, kind of a seesaw type deal. I would think that they can get to 124 here tonight. Current team total is 123.5 because there'll be a lot of emotion and I want to win this game for Damian Lillard, but I don't know that I trust it enough to play it right now.
I really want to get there. And Boofer, yeah, thanks for correcting us. It's Glenn. Even though when we mess up, it's Glenn, not Doc. Still hasn't earned that Doc title. But I don't know. Casey says they don't have people that possess the talent to play defense unless you're meaning just slow the game down.
Right.
I want to get there, man. I really want to get there. I like the Blazers healthy, how they're playing right now as far as covering point spreads. Maybe I'll get there by the end of the day. So we did a good job. We got through every game so far on the card. And it is about that time, Mr. Veno, where I ask you if there's anything you would like to promote. And also if there's maybe, a play or something you like a little bit more than the rest.
Let's go right to wagertalk.com, the place where you find all my work, Skee's work as well. If you're currently not a member, drop your email address, free access immediately to the video content provided there each and every day from about 11 a.m. till 7 o'clock p.m. I know that even Kelly's got a show late now as well. So you're going to get a lot of info out of wagertalk.com just by putting your email address in. If you're interested in selection packages, go to wagertalk.com. You find mine there each and every day. Oh, and real quick, you can find me and Skee on the NBA Tip-Off Show over there at 4 o'clock Eastern, 4:15 Eastern, 1:15 Pacific, if you're looking for more NBA analysis. Skee, I'm going to go back to the board, and, there's 2 or 3 things I really like tonight, but I'll go to the first thing I bet for the show here, and that was Orlando minus the 5.5 against San Antonio. It gave the reasons why. When I look at Orlando, I just look to see if they have a big enough advantage across the front to dominate teams on the boards and get easy points, because I don't know that they're that great of a shooting team. And I think that's the case here against San Antonio. San Antonio can be described as soft. Orlando cannot be described as soft where interior is concerned. So I laid 5. I see 5.5s out there now. If you can we find a straight 5 anywhere? I don't think we can anymore. The vibes are all gone. But minus 5.5, I think, is the right way to go with Orlando over San Antonio, especially off the heartbreaking loss the other night. I think they'll bounce back here.
All right, good stuff, Rob. Liking that minus 5.5 for Orlando. And for myself, I will move on over. Well, to promote, I think it's the last day for both UCapper and myself, 7-day pass for the NBA at Wagertalk. It's kind of like a 2-for-1 deal. Picks, not what y'all were talking about in the chat yesterday. Y'all was cutting up yesterday, so let me clarify. Just both UCapper and my every single play that we release, you can get from both of us on a discounted rate. So with that said, my best bet for today, I will go to 569, 570, Chicago and Charlotte. And it continues to drop. But I mean, I can't give you guys a number I already got, but I really think this is a good play. I think it's going to stay under this number too. I'll go under. Best number you can get right now is 215.5. I got 216 in my pocket. I told you earlier a lot of the reasons why, and that's what we will rock with for the show. So, Veno, you don't usually join me on Wednesday, but I appreciate you coming and, rocking with me on an extra day here today. Will you be with us again tomorrow?
I will. And I came today because Friday might be an in and out situation again. So we had time today. We'll be here tomorrow. We can go over the board, whatever's available on that. I think it's a 4-game card tomorrow, Skee. So maybe if people want to get into a little bit of football for the Super Bowl, we can. I can stick around for that.
All right, good stuff. And to the chat, you guys are the absolute best. Y'all had me dying today. I couldn't stop laughing at one part of the show. And it's a lot of good information as well. And like I said earlier, we're here to share information and hopefully all win money. So appreciate you guys 1,000%. Best of luck if you tell. Good luck, everybody, on all your action. If you want to see more of what me and Robino come up with, we'll be on the NBA Tip-Off Show on Wagertalk at 1:15 Pacific Standard Time. Catch y'all then. Peace. If I can end the show.